Hello and welcome to Wannabe Entrepreneur. Today I want to speak a little bit about some tips and tricks that I've learned from doing my Kickstarter campaign. As I told you before, I am producing a music album. It's kind of a hobby project, but even though it's a hobby and I don't want to make money with it, I still try to gather some money just to fund the project. And to do so, I did my first Kickstarter campaign. And it was a successful one. So that was actually super exciting. And I want to speak a little bit about what I've learned and why I think that doing your own Kickstarter campaign is actually an amazing way to practice your entrepreneurial skills. First, I want to speak about the budget. I only asked for roughly 500 euros. I know that a lot of other campaigns, they normally ask for much more, 5,000, 10,000 and even more. But, I was, and I am, an amateur. It's the first time I was producing a music album. So 500 euros for that, it's actually a great amount. I was super happy to be able to accomplish that goal. So tip number one is to carefully set your budget. So you need to know how to justify why you are asking for that exact amount. And for me, I made the calculations, and actually the only money that I was spending, since it's such a low cost, low budget album, was in the singers, because I'm a terrible singer. And back then when I started the campaign, I had already made my first song. I did some research on Fiverr, and the prices were about 60 euros per singer. So I wanted to do 8 songs, so 8 times 60 euros was about 480 euros, and that's what I asked for, and I perfectly justified that in my pitch. And I think that's the first great skill that you need to learn, because when you are pitching your idea to investors, you need to know how much money you actually need to accomplish your goals and why. And you have to explain this. So this is a great way to train that, and that's definitely my first tip. You need to know how to justify your budget. After that, I set up my campaign, I set up my page on Kickstarter. They are amazing because they also give you a lot of great tips on how to be more successful with your campaign, and definitely you should read them because they're really useful. In the beginning, I set up a trailer, so you can set up like a trailer, a pitch, a video where you explain to your users and funders, the supporters, what's your purpose, explain a little bit about yourself and the campaign and so on. And what I've done was actually to create a video out of my first song. So I basically pushed my song to YouTube because I thought that, if I show that I already have a song, maybe the supporters will think that, this is actually for real, I'm serious with this project, and they can already, figure out if they like my songs or not and if they want me to produce more. So that's what I did in the beginning. I set up that, and I wrote down my pitch, my introduction, everything, and I released in my social media, my network. Your first supporters will definitely be your friends. It'll be people or friends or colleagues actually, and I mostly use Facebook, LinkedIn, and I guess Twitter in the beginning. And definitely LinkedIn was the most successful platform there. And I was able to gather some money. I was able to gather maybe 100 euros. One thing that I did was that I actually put 10 euros of my own money. Just so that there's already some money there and people will be more encouraged knowing that other people actually already supported the project. So it's a little trick to, motivate people to support you. And I was super excited. I got my first 100 euros, and it was rather fast, And it's quite hard in the beginning to ask for money to your friends and family and peers because, we are not used to this, right? And when you see, people asking for money on the streets and so on, it's not, we don't, it's not well accepted in the society, I guess. And it's always a bit tricky, even like if you have a job as a salesman, people say, this guy's a salesman, always trying to get money. But in reality, this is something that we need to get rid of this idea, because in the end, sales is what makes the world move, Every company needs to sell their products. And what happens is when you work in a company, if you don't work in the sales department, someone is doing it for you, but they are still doing, right? So this is actually the great second tip, is that you need to lose your shame. You need to know your value. You need to know that you deserve that money. So you need to somehow be convinced of that. And you have to show that to your supporters. And you will have to do the same as an entrepreneur. When you're, getting investors, asking for support from people, shares, likes, whatever, you will have to lose that shame and actually ask for it. And the Kickstarter campaign is actually a great way to train that. So that's basically what I did. I was sharing on social media, asking for money. It was a bit awkward in the beginning, but then, I was able to get 100, 200 euros, and I was super happy. And I thought, okay, this maybe I can achieve that. In the beginning, I never thought I could achieve the 500 euros. And then in the beginning, after, getting the first 200 bucks, I thought, whoa, maybe I can actually do something here. The technique I use on social media was actually suggested by Kickstarter. So they say that you should be consistent. You should post frequently, but only 20% of those posts should be asking for money. So 80% of the posts are actually content, sharing more about your album, sharing pictures of, your guitar, your instruments, your studio setup. So I was constantly doing that. And then only maybe once a week I was actually asking for money. And it's all about consistency, Think about it. When you see your friend asking for money once, you look at it, you acknowledge it, but then, life goes on, you ignore it. When you see it twice and you see a couple of likes, you start thinking, maybe I should do something. But when you see 3 times, then you actually, support. So with advertisement, it's like that. Most of people do not support, do not buy the first time they see the product. They actually have to see it multiple times to get convinced. It's like a way to support your pitch. You see that you're serious. You see that it's happening more than one or twice. It somehow increases the credibility to see the post more than once. So that's actually something that I really recommend. It seems that you are spamming. It seems that you are just posting repetitive stuff, but most people need to see it more than one time to actually support it. And definitely. Another thing that made a huge difference was to replace my trailer video that in the beginning was only my first song with an actual pitch. So I, set up the camera in front of me, I introduced myself, and I described the project, I pitched the project, and one thing really important was to tell the users or the supporters what they were, supporting, what were they winning and getting from this besides the reward. So what I told them was, by supporting this project, you are actually supporting an amateur musician, you are supporting music, and it's a tough world and a tough industry for musicians, and I am actually giving this money to other musicians, to other singers. So you are not only supporting myself, but you are supporting other singers that are also having a tough time in COVID. So you have to kind of come up with a way to convince your supporters, which, to be honest, this is absolutely true. They were supporting other musicians, but it's important to say this because it's another argument in your favor. And when I pitched this video, when I showed the video, I shared it with my friends and network and peers, and I got a lot of donations because of this, because somehow I was exposed, I was being honest, I was, speaking about my project, and that actually made it click. And I totally think that this is something, if you're doing your Kickstarter campaign, you should record a video of yourself explaining and a little bit more personal, and why do you want this project to succeed. And this actually helped a lot. I was able to raise maybe another 200 or 300 euros, not 300, like 200 euros. So it was a great tip there. Regarding and of course, again, this is crucial when you're, starting your own entrepreneurial project, because you always need to pitch the idea, and you need to be very comfortable in sharing your idea and explain it in, a brief couple of sentences to anyone. It can happen like when you're having drinks with your friends, someone will ask you, "Hey, Tiago, what are you doing?" And you have to explain your idea, you have to explain your app, your business, whatever. So this is really a great way for you to train that. Yeah, and regarding the rewards, I set up a reward for 5 euros for the supporters, so that basically I created a website, and if someone would support me with 5 euros, they would have their name in the website as a supporter. For 10 euros, they would have also access to extra content, to download the music, the lyrics explanation, so on. And for 30 euros, they would actually get a CD. And here it's quite important for you to find out how much money it costs you to actually produce this CD. Because for me, if I would produce a lot of CDs, of course, the price per unit would be lower, but if only one person would support me with this 30 euros, I would spend 15 euros in a CD. So you have to make the calculation that this person is actually helping you with, 15 euros and not 30 euros, because the other 15 euros would go to produce the CD. For me, in the end, only one person supported with 30 euros, and what I will be doing is probably to do a more crafty CD that I burn it myself and so on, so that I can save that money. But yeah, it's again another skill super important for you, because when you're producing, especially if you're selling hardware, but even if it's software, you need to know your production costs, how much it costs, to build a website, to build a product and so on, and what are your margins. So again, a great way and for you to train your entrepreneurial skills. In the end, I was still missing, I think, 70 euros. And if you don't get the full amount until the end of the Kickstarter campaign, you actually lose like all the money. You don't get any money. So I had already exhausted all my network, all my peers. I didn't know what to do. So I went to Reddit, to the Kickstarter subreddit, and I actually asked them, "Hey, what's happening if I don't get the money in time? I just have one more week to go, and I still miss 70 euros. Do I lose all the money?" And by doing this, I actually got a lot of attention to my campaign, and I was able to get the 70 remaining euros in about 2 or 3 hours. So sometimes you need to be innovative, you need to be creative to bring some attention to your project, and to do a little bit of marketing. And this actually helped a lot, and I was able to be fully funded by the end of my campaign. And now I'm producing the album, and it's a great feeling. So I totally recommend for you to, if you want to become an entrepreneur, this is a really great way. If you have a small project, try to get it funded. Why not? You have nothing to lose, and it's a great way for you to train. I will share a lot of the posts that I've done on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Reddit in my Buy Me a Coffee website. So if you support this podcast, I don't do any ads. So if you want to support and if you think this is valuable, you can just go there, buy me a coffee, or even get a membership. It's quite cheap, and you can have access to all of this content, and you can see the posts that I've done, and I just share the most successful ones there, so you can actually see how I was able to be successful in these posts. And everything will be in the description. Also, I will add in the description the first episode where I speak about the music album that I think I will just share, I don't know the number now, but it's a previous episode. And also the music album itself, you can also go and listen to it. This was another episode of Wannabe Entrepreneur. See you tomorrow.